baseman. The day after that, David DeJesus wrecks his right thumb. He's done for the year. Shortly after that, at the beginning of this homestand, the Royals learned that Gil Mesh is done for the season with a shoulder injury. Then Scott Pasednik the next day is traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. That opens up left field for Alex Gordon, and he hits a walk-off home run on Friday night. And then a busy day yesterday, Ned Yost gets a 2-year contract extension. The Royals make a trade with the Atlanta Braves. Rick Ankiel is gone. Kyle Farnsworth is gone. But that didn't hold down the Royals as Billy Butler hit a home run in the bottom of the 8th inning yesterday. The Royals have won the last 2 games, and now we begin to welcome in the new guys. And in doing so, we welcome in Royals Hall of Famer Frank White, who was once outfield coach with the Royals. And let's go back to this past offseason when Dayton Moore wanted to improve the outfield. The first thing he wanted to do was improve the speed.
And he did a good job of that, Ryan, by going out and making these deals. I think the fans the second half are going to see Alex Gordon, Mitch Meyer, and our newly acquired Gregor Blanco. I think that'll be some of the speed the Royals fans will be able to see the second half of this season.
Well, let's take a look at what the outfield looked like. It was Scott Pasednik. There's some speed at the top of the batting order. He was productive on offense. Rick Ankiel was hurt most of the year. David DeJesus was having a career season. But now this is the outfield as it looks today.
Well, I'll tell you got Alex Gordon in left field. He went back and learned how to play it, and he's going to get an opportunity to play the rest of this season. Mitch Meyer will get more playing time in right field, and Gregor Blanco, a guy that we just traded for Rick Ankiel, actually, in center field. So you got some speed there, and I think it's going to be one of those outfields, Ryan, where the fans are going to be excited to see him play the rest of the season.
The outfield was not only productive offensively, but defensively, and the Royals had a great defensive day yesterday, turning 4 double plays behind Zach Greinke to take Game 3. We'll preview Game 4 when we come back. Or visit Kia.com. And by Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. It has been a tough second half for the Royals so far on the mound. Zach Greinke had a nice bounce-back start last night against the Orioles. That's what Bruce Chen is hoping for. Here's the Kia report.
15 earned runs his last 3 starts. Not very good for Bruce Chen. 9 first-inning runs. That's also a problem in his 11th start. Today, he needs to get the fastball up and in so he can work effectively in getting right-handed hitters out away.
A Sunday afternoon lineup for the Baltimore Orioles. Here's the M&I Bank batting order. Julio Lugo will lead off, not Brian Roberts. Jake Fox, the backup catcher, will get the start instead of Matt Wieters. Young third baseman Josh Bell will bat 8th, and Cesar Izturis will hit 9th. We started the series, Frank, saying it seems like every time we play the Orioles, Nick Markakis has a big series. He's done it again.
And he's did it again, Ryan, and not only offensively, but also on the defense, too. He's taken the fastballs and driven those to right field. There in right field, he takes a great angle, great diving catch. So both offense and defense is what you like to see great young players do.
The trade of Rick Ankiel yesterday presented an opportunity again for Mitch Meyer, and he made the most of it with a home run and 2 RBIs. He is in right field today for Game 4 with the Orioles, and the first pitch is next. The 110 game starts at 109, so the count is 1 ball, 1 strike on Julio Lugo. At times the clock in straightaway center field at the bottom of the Crown Vision, which is the largest high-definition screen outside of Texas Stadium, can be tough to see. Frank, your thoughts?
That's why they give umpires watches, so they can start on time.
I can see it from here.
The only way we can start on time is if they start on time.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Julio Lugo. So a new leadoff man for the Orioles, Brian Roberts, who has spent most of the year on the disabled list, played the first 3 games, and now Lugo will lead off, and he'll play second base. And Bruce Chen hoping for a good start, not just the entire game, but the first inning. 3-2. Bruce, in his last start against Minnesota, gave up 2 runs in the first inning, and he has allowed 2 runs in the first inning in his last 2 starts. Still 3-2 on Lugo. It is a beautiful day at Kauffman Stadium. Absolutely perfect. 86 degrees. We started at 109. Time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCA. Lugo strikes out, so a good start so far for Bruce Chen. And with 1 out in the top of the first inning, let's go to right field, and here's Joe Goldberg.
Well, Ryan, yesterday we told you about the players leaving the Royals clubhouse. Today there were a few coming in, as this morning Jesse Chavez and Gregor Blanco both arrived together. They had been in Cincinnati with the Braves yesterday. Then shortly after that, Keila Ka'aihue arrived as well. Lots of hugs for him as he rejoined the Royals, and certainly always an interesting experience to watch the new guys, because it's a fraternity out there. A lot of people knew Blanco. A lot of the guys in the clubhouse knew Chavez. The one thing that could have been interesting was, with new faces, a guy from the Orioles walked down. He had his suitcase and he was ushered towards the Royals clubhouse, and I think security probably thought he was one of the new Royals. He was about a foot away from the Royals clubhouse door and said, buddy, I think I'm supposed to be over there. That would have been interesting.
Well, who is it?
Not a Royal.
Oh, okay.
He had a suitcase. He looked like he had just arrived.
Oh, okay, but it wasn't an Oriole like Nick Markakis or something like that, or.
It was not anyone that had maybe distinguished himself like Nick Markakis this series.
Okay.
I think it was left-hander Troy Patton. They called him up from AAA today.
Just missed to Nick Markakis, who has driven in 3 runs in the series. He has a home run. He has a double, which is his 34th of the year. And that is second in the American League through the Tigers' Miguel Cabrera.
The
curve ball hangs high.
You asked yourself, Ryan, if it's Markakis, did someone make a mistake? Or was that be a good mistake for the Royals? That's a big hanging curveball. Stayed right on the inside corner. And the one thing about the pitcher so far in this game, Bruce has been up a little higher than he really wants to be. Needs to get the ball down.
Caught by Alex Gordon in left field, so 2 up, 2 down. Royals baseball comes to you from Kauffman Stadium today in high definition. Brought to you by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. So 2 up, 2 down. And now Ty Wigginton, who has driven in 4 runs in the series. Wigginton with a couple of sacrifice flies, and the Orioles win on Thursday night. 2 RBI doubles on Friday night. The Royals held it hitless last night, and that put a stop to his 6-game hitting streak. Bruce working very fast today, and Wigginton is down in the count, 1-2. To Billy Butler. So it is a good start for Bruce Chen as the Orioles go down in order. look like this, presented by M&I Bank. 3 straight starts now for Chris Getz as the leadoff man. Wilson Bedemeet returns to third base, so Mike Aviles is out today. And Gregor Blanco joins the Royals. He hit .310 in limited time with the Braves this year. Former Brave Kevin Millwood pitches for Baltimore. Here's the Kia report.
Kevin is definitely the veteran on this staff. 395 career Major League starts. Having a tough year so far, Ryan. Only 2-10. And lefties at 327. So the Royals got 5 left-handed bats in the lineup for Kevin Millwood today.
Beginning with Chris Getz. In his first 2 games as leadoff man, Getz has been 1 for 8. Now, he was 0 for 5 in the game on Friday, but in the first inning had a 13-pitch at-bat with Jake Arrieta. He's going to bunt that one foul. No balls, 2 strikes. And the final result was a strikeout for Getz, but you wonder how much he wore down Arrieta, because after Getz was out, 4 of the next 5 reached for the Royals. It turned into a 3-run inning, and Arrieta wasn't able to go 5 innings. And then in his second game at leadoff last night, Getz was 1 for 3 with a double and a walk. Off the knuckles, and that is going to drop in front of Markakis. So putting the ball in play with 2 strikes. Chris Getz gets a leadoff single to right.
Good way to start the game for Chris Getz today. Ball way in off the plate. Did a good job pulling his hands in. Didn't hit it very well, but just enough to get it over second baseman Julio Lugo.
And now 11 stolen bases at first base for the Royals. And Jason Kendall at the plate. Kendall has a lot of experience against Kevin Millwood, 39 career at-bats. He has 10 hits. That figures out to a .256 average. And that's lined into right field. So a good start for the Royals on the mound, and now at the plate with back-to-back singles.
Nice and easy as it goes. Kevin Millwood tried to get a fastball out over the plate. Tried to get it away. Got too much of the plate, and Jason Kendall just stays right with it. Tried to shoot that hole over there. Hits a line drive to right field.
Last time the Royals faced Kevin Millwood was back on May the 18th. A no decision. He gave up 3 runs in 8 innings. That only tells you part of the story. He began the game with 4 perfect innings, and the Royals didn't get a single base runner until the 5th. He had 5 strikeouts in those first 4 innings and finished with 7. A strike to Billy Butler, who's hit in 5 straight. Hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning against David Hernandez last night, turning the game around. Royals were down by 1 going into the 8th, and they left the 8th ahead by 1. So a walk-off home run on Friday night from Alex Gordon. And a home run with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th inning from Billy Butler last night. So the Royals have lost some offense because of the recent trades as far as batting average goes and run production this year, but they've been waiting for power all season long, and that's what they've gotten in the last 2 wins.
And they throw Mitch Meyer in there also. Mitch also had a home run last night's ball game, but this is when guys elevate their game. This is when they say, okay, I've got an opportunity here to play. This is what the club is looking for, and go out there and try to give it to them.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
We talked a little bit earlier in the year about how do you supply power? And guys like Billy, guys that has ability to hit the ball at the ballpark, you know, they go to those certain counts, no counts, 2-0, 3-1. Just look for your pitch. You get your pitch. That's when you really are trying to do more than just hit a single.
That pitch was up and away, and he drives it into the right field corner. Gets around third. He will score. Kendall will stop at third. And Billy Butler drives in his third run of the series.
Well, you know the pitcher's not going to come in on you. You can do things like this. This fastball is up, away off the plate, and Billy had to be looking for it to hit it this well. I mean, you see where his front half had gone, but he kept his hands back. And Ronnie stayed right on top of this ball. That ball hugged the line, off the wall for a double and an RBI. And Chris Getz scores easily.
And now the Royals are positioned for a big inning. A run home, 2 runners in scoring position for Jose Guillen, who has just 1 hit so far in the first 3 games, 1 out of 13. He is 0 for his last 6. Kevin Millwood lately has had an awful time in the first inning. In fact, in 10 of his last 11 starts, he has given up 2 or more runs in the first inning. 10 of his last 11, not just 1 run, 2 or more in the first inning.
Well, just a quick glimpse of this game so far, Ryan. You look at where his pitches are and where the location of the pitches are, everything's up in the zone. And if you can't get down and make good pitches with 2 strikes. You know, Chris Getz was a mistake pitch. You know, you want to get it way in off the plate, 0-2, but you get too much at the plate and it gets a base hit. So it's just a matter of getting the ball down and locating.
Shot foul. Guillen is down. No balls, 2 strikes. And not getting the ball down this year has really hurt Millwood all season. He has allowed the 2nd most home runs in the American League. Only Ryan Roland Smith with the Mariners has allowed more, and it's just 1 more. The Royals greet Kevin Millwood with 3 straight hits, a single from Getz, a single from Kendall, and an RBI double from Butler. And now Guillen pulls it foul off the left field side. Jose with 36 career at-bats against Kevin Millwood, and he has 16 hits. So that figures out to 444 for his career against Millwood. Bounce the slider off the plate, and we stay at no balls, 2 strikes.
Well, this situation here, Ryan, where every pitcher should have 8 pitch that he can get a ground ball on. And you can get a ground ball here. You can help yourself a lot. Just keep the ball out of the air and try not to allow that up runner from second base to advance also. But you got to be able to help yourself at some point with pitching to the situation and get the ball down and let your infielders help for you. Infielders are back in the middle. All Jose has to do is hit a ground ball here and just not try to do too much.
And there's the ground ball. A run will score. So Guillen is thrown out. Kendall scores, and the Royals take a 2-0 lead. You know, as you were talking about that, Frank, and on that last pitch, yes, Millwood got a ground ball. It could have been worse if Guillen gets a base hit, but that caught a lot of the plate. And right before the pitch, we showed you that Kevin Millwood, of his first 14 pitches, 13 were strikes. So every now and then you want to get one out of the strike zone.
Out of the strike zone inside and out of the strike zone away. But usually when the guys get hit as hard as Kevin Millwood's getting, normally he's one way. He's not using both sides of the plate. He's not knocking guys off the plate to set up the next pitch. It's almost like he's extensively away from hitters for the most part.
So it's Billy Butler at second base with Wilson Betemit at the plate. Betemit out of the lineup last night, but in the first 2 games, 4 out of 7, plus a couple of walks. So on base 6 times on Thursday and Friday. And he has 3 RBIs. Jake Fox and Kevin Millwood get the feeling they're not really on the same page. Now, Kevin Millwood is never going to be confused for Mark Burley. He is not a fast worker. He is typically a very slow worker, but even slower today, and I think it's because he's been shaking off some pitches, or some pitchers won't shake off a pitch. They'll just keep staring, and that's their way to tell the catcher, I don't want to throw that, give me something else.
Well, a lot of times they use their gloves, they give me another pitch, and it just shows a lot of confusion once you get on the mound. Normally you get all that worked out once you're in the dugout, once you're in the locker room before you in your pregame meeting, so you don't have a lot of those meetings where you have to call the catcher out. But sometimes one or the other forgets in certain situations.
And they're still having a tough time agreeing on the pitch. A combination of signs with Billy Butler at second base. Well, they come up with that pitch, and Wilson Bettemy drives it into right field. Billy Butler to the plate, and Markakis' throw is cut off. Royals take a 3-0 lead in the first inning.
A lot of confusion between Jake Fox and Kevin Millwood, Ryan. And a lot of times if you're not really 100% sure that that's the pitch you want to throw, these things happen. As Eddie Rodriguez waving Billy around on the base hit to right field by Wilson Bettemy.
So he's been productive and he's been clutch.
Right, and then even in the first base area, he had to step off after the sequence of signs. One thing from a pitcher's perspective, they just like to get the ball and throw. And when they've got to go through trying to figure the signs out, try to remember the signs, you don't know how much frustration that's creating, and that can take away from your concentration when you do have to throw the pitch you want to throw.
1-1 to Alex. When the Royals faced Millwood back in May, he and Zach Greinke went up against one another that night, and both were at the time in the same boat. They had very good personal numbers. Not much as far as their win-loss record, but a lot of it had to do with the lack of run support. Millwood had the worst at that time in the American League, but since that point, he really can't blame run support. He has given up the most earned runs, the second most home runs, second most losses in the league, and the third most hits allowed. Three balls, one strike to Alex Gordon. Alex has hit in 6 straight after a slow start in the Yankees series, putting it back together. 4 RBIs in the series, 3 of those on the walk-off home run Friday night. Full count.
You know, the Orioles are a team, Ryan, that's already lost 72 ball games this season, and you got to really, really push yourself to get through a season like this. And I tell you what, when you get a veteran guy like Kevin Millwood, you know, he's got to go out there and try to turn this thing around. When he's pitching the way he is, then it kind of hurts everything, because concentration-wise, how much he's going to have when you get out there and how much of these situations are going to affect you.
PA makes the catch in left field, and that's why you go out and you sign or trade for a veteran player like Kevin Millwood on a young team.
And that's true, and it's all about how he carries himself through the good times and the bad times, and that'll wear off on the young pitchers if they see him handle everything in a professional manner. But if he goes the other way, then everybody else kind of goes that way with you.
So 3 runs home, Bettemy at first, and now Mitch Meyer. 2 hits for Mitch last night, including a home run. And he has been able to show his worth in a few categories in this series. 3 out of 4, a home run, a double, a couple of walks, a sacrifice bunt, and 3 RBIs. 1 ball, 1 strike. and also showing his worth on defense, playing in center field last night. He's in right field today. Two balls, one strike.
I talked to Mitch before the game, and Mitch said he really likes the fact that a lot of our guys are here now on this ball club, guys that he played with in the minor leagues. He said the good thing about it is that they know each other so well that even when they're not playing good, they can walk up to each other and say, "What are you going to do today?" And guys just laugh about it. Well, if you get a guy from another organization you don't know very well, you can't have that kind of dialogue with them because they may take it the wrong way. But they look at it as a way to motivate each other, and that's how they say they did in the minor leagues. They said, you know, you haven't done anything in a few days. What are you going to do today? And he said that's a comforting feeling when you go out and play.
Myers strikes out. The inning comes to an end, but the Royals score 3 against Kevin Millwood in the first. Into their seats, spell out KC Royals. They are from Smith Center, Kansas, watching the Royals today. Smith Center, Kansas, I am told, is the hometown of the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. And if you watch Fox News Channel, Steve Ducey is from Smith Center, Kansas. They are enjoying a 3-0 Royals lead. And in the top of the second inning, a strike to Luke Scott. A good start for Bruce Chen, getting Julio Lugo, Nick Markakis, and Ty Wigginton. It's been a quiet series so far for Luke Scott, just 1 out of 11. And during this series, he put an end to an 0 for 13. And with that check swing, he's down, no balls, 2 strikes. After Luke Scott, it's Adam Jones and Felix Pie. So Bruce Chen gets a left-hand batter, a right-hand batter, and then another lefty. Bruce coming off a tough start on Tuesday against Minnesota. The Royals losing those 2 blowouts to the Twins on Monday and Tuesday. Bruce lost the Tuesday game 11-2. And he gave up 11 hits in 5 1/3 innings. Wonder how much of that was Bruce and how much of that was the Minnesota Twins, the way they were swinging the bats. Three balls, 2 strikes.
You find a team as hot as the Twins were coming in, it's not hard to get ambushed by a ball club like that, because every mistake you make seemed like they're right on every pitch. And Zach found out in the first inning, and it just kind of carried from there.
Still 3-2 on Luke Scott. And drilled to right field. Luke Scott into the Royals bullpen. That's been a popular spot during this series. And the Orioles are on the scoreboard. That's a pretty good at-bat. He was down 0-2. Got the count to 3-2. And drills his 18th home run of the year. Let's see where that 3-2 pitch was. Brought to you by Chevy.
Bruce had been getting the ball to the other side of the plate, Ryan, but here leaves a fastball middle in, and that's where Luke Scott really likes the ball. Down, around the knees, and he was able to open up and get those arms extended, and his ball left in a hurry. A lot of bullpens, when they see that home run coming, they hop up and try to catch the ball. The Raw guys are in the shade down there.
Well, that's not their guy.
Move that leg right to the side, you know.
That's the equivalent of a fan throwing the ball back onto the field when the opposing team hits a home run. You know, if that was a Royals home run, I think, you know, Blake Wood and Dusty Hughes sitting up front, bullpen coach Steve Foster, they're going to jump out of their seated position there and try and catch that ball. But that was just Luke Scott.
I was watching last night when Meyer hit into the bullpen, and they still stayed there.
There's Jesse Chavez on.
You got the fan blowing
right.
on them, and they just relax down there in the shade. Huge fan.
Jesse Chavez coming to the Royals today after the trade yesterday with Gregor Blanco. Tim Collins, the left-hand pitcher, goes to AAA Omaha. The Royals have seen Chavez with the Braves this year and with the Pirates last year. Blanco is in center field, and he will bat ninth. Left center field. And Blanco almost collides with Alex Gordon. So those two are going to have to get used to one another. First time they're in the outfield at the same time. Out number one in the second inning.
That's one of those things you talk about when you see the lineup. You know who's playing next to you. You don't know exactly the range of that outfielder and how they, you know, every organization teaches calling the ball a little bit differently. And Alex is relatively new in the outfield, so he hasn't really learned really well how to look at the ball and look at the runner and look at the other fielder at the same time. He kind of gets locks on the ball, and he's going to stay with it until something happens.
Felix P.A. reaches out. Chris Getz reaches out, but the ball is in and out of his glove. And a one-out base hit for Felix P.A.
This is a great effort by Chris Getz. He's been playing very well at second base in the few starts he's had here in this series, and he really gets off on this ball really well. It just probably needed one more step, and then would have ended right in the webbing of his glove, but just a half a step short, and the ball goes right off the top of the glove.
So P at first with one out, and Jake Fox at the plate. First time Jake Fox appears in the series. Originally of the Cubs organization. Traded to the Oakland A's this past offseason, and then during this season traded to the Orioles. Hits that into right field, and Mitch Meyer fades back for the second out. Frank, your thoughts?
I ran into the young man on the way in today, and he says, I haven't signed the sign that says, Frank, your thoughts. He said, that's one of the fun things in a broadcast he likes to hear you say.
Gotta get a hold of that sign and put it up on the wall here in the booth.
As long as my thoughts are important.
1 on 2 out. Josh Bell at the plate. The Orioles have scored in this inning on a Luke Scott home run. And Bruce Chen misses inside with ball one. Josh Bell acquired last year during the trading deadline. Los Angeles Dodgers needing some help in their bullpen, and they acquired George Sherrill from the Orioles. And the Orioles getting a power hitting, switch hitting third baseman in Josh Bell, who hit 20 home runs at 2 different levels in the minor leagues last year. Dodgers took him in the 4th round back in 2005. PA takes off, and Chris Getz runs him down before he gets to the bag. The Orioles get one. We go to the bottom of the 2nd inning. Gregor Blanco will bat second when we come back. What'd you say? Oh. And there he is, Michael there with 11 friends, and many of them wearing their Billy Butler jerseys. That is to honor Michael for his hospitality. And you still have several chances to win a suite at Kauffman Stadium if you participate in the Sprint You Call It question. And there they are right above us. Hi, guys. Nice talking to you. 1-1 on Yuniesky Betancourt. So right behind home plate on the 3rd level at Kauffman Stadium, you and 11 guests. That sounds pretty good. Over Millwood, and coming over from second is Lugo, and Yuniesky Betancourt is the first out. Today's question: whose absence has left the biggest void? Alberto Callaspo at third base, David DeJesus in the outfield at a couple of positions, Gil Mesh in the rotation, Scott Pasednik in left. Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, a space, and then A, B, C, or D. Standard text rates apply.
Well, that's a good one today. Very good.
And here's Gregor Blanco. He doesn't waste any time. He swings at the first pitch and fouls it away. Who do you think has left the biggest void so far?
I have to look at pitching. I think Gil Mesh not being able to answer the bell for most of this season and now for the rest of the year. I think losing a number 2 starter is a huge void.
No balls, 2 strikes on Blanco. Traded from the Braves to the Royals, and originally from the Braves organization 10 years ago as a 16-year-old, signed by the Braves out of Venezuela. He played with the Braves 36 games this year. He's also spent 44 games at AAA. Boy, just looking at him with 2 strikes, he chokes way up on the bat to make sure that he makes contact, trying to avoid the strikeout.
It's really nice to see hitters make adjustments. You see a lot of guys who aren't very big, and they still want to stay down the end of the bat, take that big swing, and when you get to 2 strikes, it's all about putting the ball in play and trying to give yourself an opportunity to get a base hit.
And a hard slider down and in strikes him out, and that's Millwood's second. So Kevin Millwood, now over his last 12 starts, 11 times in his last 12 starts, he's given up 2 or more runs in the first inning. Today it was 3. And now he's retired 4 in a row. And now the beginning of the second time through with Chris Getz, who was down 0 balls 2 strikes in the bottom of the first, got jammed and muscled a single to right, and came around to score. So we hope you're sending in your texts for You Call It, presented by Sprint, and if you do, you're going to get a bounce back text message from Sprint telling you how you can register for the You Call It sweepstakes and a chance to win that suite here at Kauffman Stadium for you and 11 guests. Our question today, whose absence has left the biggest void? And 41% going with David DeJesus. Scott Posednik with just 17%. Frank, just to add to your thoughts about Gil Mesh, you know, the focus, it seems, so often this year has been the Royals' inability to match their runs scored with team batting average. But on the pitching side, the Royals come into today second from the bottom in team ERA in the American League.
Well, you lose your number 2 starter and eventually a number 3 starter, and that puts a load on any starting pitching staff. And then the guys that you replace them with aren't 2 and 3 starters and potential number 1 starters. So now you go into the lack of these guys getting deep into games, and all of a sudden, you remember how tight the bullpen was there for a while, doing a great job, and then as the faces in the pitching staff the starting staff started to change, the 5 innings, 5 2/3 innings, now you're asking your bullpen to get more outs, and the more outs you ask them to get, the worse they do. If you can keep them guys to maybe 6 outs a night, they'll do very well. But when you ask them to get 9, 10, 11, 12 outs, it's kind of hard on them.
And the old baseball truth of a good bullpen is a well-rested bullpen.
All the time. All the time.
Gets way out in front and hits a rocket into the Royals dugout. A few guys scattering. Not long ago, there was a very scary scene in Arizona. Pat Burrell hitting for the Giants. Hit a line drive into his own dugout and hit Eugenio Velez on the head and had to be taken off the field in a stretcher. Some of the Royals flashing the white towel, the surrender towel. We give up.
That's hard to do. You're a left-handed hitter. You had a line drive in your own dugout. Now that you don't see that too often.
Now a slow curveball, and it's popped up into shallow left center. Look out. And PA comes in. He drops it. Getz goes to second base. There is nothing wrong ever with running hard. You never know what's going to happen.
You find so many guys, Ron, they don't run hard, and they find themselves caught halfway between first and second on a ball like this. Chris Getz leaves home plate, thinks he's got an idea this ball's not going to get caught, and he never quits running. And you see him go around first base here, and he never breaks stride. And he sees the ball hit the ground, and he's right there at second base.
So Chris Getz is safe at second base. Safe and secure. New York life. So Getz is 2 for 2. He hasn't hit either ball particularly hard, but down in the count 0-2 in the first inning, puts it in play, gets a single. Down in the count 1-2 in this inning, puts the ball in play. And he is going to be given a double. Wow.
I will say wow with you on that one.
I mean, good for Chris, right?
That's always good for the home guys when they get a base hit like that. I mean, it's just more of a communication thing.
Now a half swing. Fox throws down to first, gets Kendall, and the inning is over. At the end of 2, the Royals lead 3-1. Rethink possible. And by Panera Bread. Explore a menu of hearty soups, salads, sandwiches, and breakfast items at Panera Bread. Nice way to cool off in the outfield experience, although it's not needed as badly as we might have thought earlier this week with a Sunday afternoon game coming up. It is a warm day, but it's not a blistering hot day in Kansas City, at least not so far. Royals got 3 in the first. The Orioles 1 in the second. Bruce Chen throws ball 1 to Josh Bell. For the second straight game, a runner is picked off with 2 outs and Josh Bell at the plate. So he gets a fresh count in the next inning. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Boy, Bruce Chen, he'll throw over there 3, sometimes 4 times in a row if he thinks you're going to go. And if he gets over there 3 or 4 times, you realize you don't have his move. And so he's just going to catch you going on first pitch. After, as a base runner, he said, well, surely he won't throw it 3 times. But Bruce will do that.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Bruce got off to a very good start as a starter when Gil Mesh went on the disabled list. But he has been since turned around. 0-3, an ERA of almost 8. Over his last 4 and giving up a lot of hits, 35 hits in his last 4 starts, but off to a reasonably good start today. Worked a 1-2-3 first inning and then gave up a solo home run to Luke Scott in the second. Shattered bat, and Betancourt throws high, no tag, and Josh Bell is safe at first. Well, that's a shame. Bat comes apart like that and you don't get an out.
Well, Billy really feels like he made the tag before Josh Bell crossed first base. This ball just cuts right in on Josh Bell's hand. This bat explodes. And Uniesi comes up. He got a little more time. He could have set his feet and made a better throw on this. But Billy's got the ball, tagged him right on the back of the name on the back of his jersey.
The umpire, by the way, at first base is Wally Bell. So Royals fans don't like that call, but good to see Wally Bell back in the game. 2 nights ago, he was behind the plate and had to leave in the 6th inning because of heat exhaustion. Was not here last night. And you can see, yeah, like he's pulling the back of the collar down with the tag.
Well, the one thing he doesn't need is a heated argument today.
Pun intended or no pun intended?
But more of a health concern than anything else.
So Wally Bell will umpire first twice in the series. He was at first base on Thursday, behind the plate Friday, and back to first today. So runner at first. Bruce Chen comes back and jumps ahead of Cesar Izturis, 0-2. Izturis started the first 2 games for the Orioles at shortstop. 2 hits, a couple of walks, drove in a run. And Billy Butler, nice play, steps on the bag, down to second. It is a double play.
All in one motion, Ryan. Billy comes off first, squares around, gets squared up. That makes a heck of a lunge back to his left and stop this ball, and that took his right foot right on top of the base. Left up, right foot on the base. Nice throw down to second base. Unieski applies the tag.
So that takes a lot of sting out of the missed call at first base. 2 outs, nobody on. And now Julio Lugo, who opened the game striking out looking. One ball, 1 strike. Now Bruce with a big sweeping curveball jumps ahead, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Speaking of first base, Kila Kaihue, who was playing first base at AAA Omaha, was called up today. That with Robinson Tejeda going on the disabled list. Jammed, and Lugo drops it into left center field for a 2-out hit. Coming up on the next homestand, the Yankees will be in town for 4 games. And in game 1, it's the next Ink College Night. College Night offers select tickets for high school and college students with a valid ID for just $7. Plus food and beverage specials are available in the outfield plaza concession areas. Royals.com or 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. Joel Goldberg into right center field.
Nick Markakis going deep. I'll let you get that one, Ryan.
Another extra base hit for Nick Markakis. And Julio Lugo comes around third base to make it a 3-2 game.
Yeah, I was just about to point out that Nick Markakis...
We've been smoother before, Joel, I think, haven't we?
Well, Nick Markakis should have been telling us that he was first pitch swinging there. That maybe was a surprise. The surprise wasn't the result, because does it seem like he just kills the Royals? And it's not like the numbers are unbelievable, but it seems like he's in the middle of everything. And I talked to Juan Samuel about that. And he's another one of those guys you don't hear a ton about because he's playing in Baltimore, and also he's just a really quiet guy. We've interviewed him before, and he's just very soft-spoken. But what Juan Samuel said is in his 4 years there as a coach and now interim manager, so consistent on a daily basis. And what makes him impressive, he said, is that he does it against lefties. He does it against righties. He's around 300 every year. 2 of the last 3 years he's had 100 RBIs. Close to 290 against lefties. Around 300 against righties. Also, as Samuel said, as good an arm as anybody in baseball. And he said he's a guy that you put him out there every day, and he does not want to come out on any given day. He says that he really enjoys managing Nicky, is what he calls him. We'll just call him Nick.
Well, he's managing him for the last time today. The Orioles go home after today's game. They have tomorrow off, and then on Tuesday, Buck Showalter will take over the Orioles. Juan Samuel has not announced yet whether he will go back to third base coach or not, as Ty Wigginton will reach with an intentional walk. Juan Samuel played parts of 2 different seasons with the Royals and really seemed to be a good fit for the Orioles this year. With a young team, they knew they were going to struggle. He was part of the Tigers coaching staff in 2003 when they lost 119 games, and then 3 years later they were in the World Series. So he experienced that in Detroit and lending what he learned from that experience to the Orioles this year. Ball 1 to Luke Scott. He had a solo home run to right field in the second inning. You know, just to add to Joel's comments, Nick Markakis' story is really remarkable the more you learn about it. Drafted out of high school, and then his first year of junior college as a pitcher. And then after his second year of junior college, where he was a pitcher, 29 teams had him on their draft board as a pitcher. The Orioles were the only team that had him as an outfielder. They took him in the first round. That is a huge gamble. And he ends up not just getting to the big leagues, but being an impact player. He told me from high school until his first year in pro baseball, he was never a regular outfielder. He was a pitcher.
Somebody saw his swing and really liked it, and we talked about this the other night. You can always draft him as a position player because you know he can always go back and pitch. We had a kid in our organization some years ago, Mike Stadoka. We drafted him as a first baseman, and as a pitcher, and he ended up being a first baseman. So it just, some teams like him as a hitter, some teams like him as a pitcher.
Markakis at second base, Wigginton at first, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes on Luke Scott.
Well, somewhere along the line in his minor league development, someone had to really help him with his swing, help him understand it a little bit better. And for him to be as devastating against righties as he is against lefties, it takes a lot of discipline. But from my standpoint, it's nice to see right fielders that can throw. It's been a long time since you've seen real good arms in the outfield.
Good fastball strikes out Luke Scott. The Orioles chip away with another run. It is 3-2. This is Donnie Dempwolf. Neat story. While volunteering at a camp for kids with cancer, he met a young patient who inspired him to start running to help support the child's battle. Donnie is a care assistant at Children's Mercy Hospital. He admits he was out of shape then, but a year later he has lost more than 40 pounds and is running 4 marathons this year.
Good for him.
Sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at today's game as Billy Butler opens the inning with a slicer up the right field line, and there's Nick Markakis running it down. So Billy is 1 for 2. So a 1-run game. It's still early. We'll see if this ends up being another close game. All 3 have been close with the Royals and the Orioles. Joakim Soria had to save last night's game after Billy Butler's home run. giving him 28 saves on the year as we look at today's league leaders. Brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. And Joaquim just one save behind the Rays' Rafael Soriano and the Rangers' Neftali Feliz. Cesar Izturis takes care of Jose Guillen. Jose 0 for 2, but his ground out to Izturis in the first inning produced a run. Joaquim has now converted 21 consecutive save opportunities. Only 2 blown saves all season long. So 2 quick outs. And now Millwood pitches to Wilson Betemit. A couple of teammates in the Braves system. Betemit capped the Royals' 3-run first inning with a single to right field. So in this series, Betemit is 5 out of 8 with 4 RBIs, and that's missing an entire game. 0-2. Curveball drops low, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
When you look at Wilson Betemit's career and you look at what he was doing in Omaha before he got called up, I mean, you couldn't have envisioned what he's doing right now. You know that the pitches up here around the plate a little bit more, but I mean, to be as under control as he is, be as balanced as he is, both sides of the plate, and when he squares the ball up, I mean, the ball really jumps off his bat. And when you say he's only 28 years old, it's like, well, that's not very old. For the amount of experience he's gotten in this game, and I'm sure all of that's working to his advantage right now.
Yeah, in some ways, it's a great combination. He's young, but he's been around for a while.
Been around a long time. He said when he was 19, he can remember him being tall and skinny and not having a lot of power. And he says he feels a lot stronger now at 28 and like he's more prepared to play every day.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Betemit has hit in 6 straight games and batting at .370. Good late movement. Betemit quit on it, and it hit the inside corner. Royals down 1-2-3 in the 3rd. Royals by 1 as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Bruce Chen and Kevin Millwood. Here's how they compare with the radar gun. Bruce has hit 91. Millwood has hit 92 on the Roadrunner Turbo Speed Pitch comparison.